Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy daily stories about cheating, revenge, and relationship advice. I had it all planned out. It was Emma's birthday, and I wanted to make it special. The bouquet of her favorite lilies was nestled carefully in the passenger seat, and the delicate necklace I'd chosen sparkled enticingly in its box. I was practically buzzing with excitement as I pulled up to the restaurant where Emma worked. The place was chic and cozy, with a reputation for both excellent food and a warm, inviting atmosphere. I thought it would be the perfect spot for our celebration. When I walked in, the soft hum of ambient music and the clinking of glasses provided a comforting backdrop. I waved to a few familiar faces among the staff as I made my way to the restroom. I wanted to freshen up before Emma arrived. As I approached the restroom, I heard voices coming from the adjoining storage room. I paused, curious. "Not now, Max," Emma's voice drifted through the door, sounding lighter and more playful than usual. "We'll get caught if you're not careful." My heart skipped a beat. I knew Emma's tone. It was intimate, flirtatious, something I hadn't heard from her in our conversations. I hesitated for a moment, unsure if I should investigate. I took a deep breath, the weight of the bouquet and necklace feeling heavier with each step. Pushing the door open slightly, I peeked inside. Emma was standing close to a man I recognized from the restaurant staff, Tom. They were laughing softly, her hand resting on his arm in a way that seemed far too personal. I froze, unable to process what I was seeing. Tom's hand brushed against her waist, and Emma leaned in, her laughter mingling with his. "Emma?" I croaked, my voice barely audible. Both of them looked up, surprise etched on their faces. Emma's expression quickly shifted from shock to guilt as she pulled away from Tom. "Max, Emma started, but the words seemed to catch in her throat. "Happy birthday, Emma," I said, my voice cold and empty. I turned on my heel, the bouquet and necklace feeling like burdens I no longer wanted to carry. "Wait!" Emma called after me, her voice desperate. "This isn't what it looks like." I didn't stop. I needed air, space to process the whirlwind of emotions crashing over me. I stumbled out of the restroom, my vision blurring. The night that was supposed to be a celebration of our love had turned into a scene of betrayal. The shock settled into a deep, gnawing hurt. As I approached the bar, my thoughts were a chaotic mess. I needed to talk to someone, to make sense of this. Sam, a former coworker who had always seemed to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder regarding Emma, was sitting there. He looked up as I took a seat next to him. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Sam remarked, his eyes scanning my face. "Worse," I said, my voice trembling. "I just saw Emma with another guy." I thought it was supposed to be a special night, but Sam's eyebrows arched in surprise. "Emma? The same Emma who always seemed to be the queen bee around here. What happened?" I recounted the scene I had just witnessed, each detail like a dagger to my chest. Sam listened intently, nodding along with a mixture of sympathy and something else, anger, maybe. "That's rough, man," Sam said when I finished. "Emma's got a way of making people feel like they're the center of her world, but from what I've seen, she's not exactly a model citizen." I looked at Sam, seeing a glimmer of opportunity in his words. "What do you mean?" Sam leaned in, lowering his voice. "Let's just say Emma's got a knack for playing games. And I've got my own reasons for not liking her." I stared at Sam, realizing that we might have a common enemy. "You're saying you'd help me?" Sam's gaze met mine, sharp and calculating. "If you're looking to get back at Emma, I might know a way to make her pay for all the trouble she's caused. But we'll need to gather some serious evidence." The idea began to take shape in my mind. I wasn't just dealing with personal betrayal anymore, I had a chance to expose Emma's deceit on a larger scale. The pain of the evening had transformed into a mission for justice, with Sam as an unexpected ally. As I sat there, trying to digest the whirlwind of emotions and new plans, I knew one thing for certain: Emma's birthday surprise had unraveled, but it had also set the stage for a deeper confrontation. The days following Emma's betrayal were a blur of anger and confusion. The initial shock was replaced by a growing sense of determination. Sam and I had a common goal now: uncover the full extent of Emma's deceit and see her held accountable for her actions. We decided to meet up at a quiet cafe, a neutral ground where we could plan our next steps. Sam was already there when I arrived, nursing a black coffee and scanning the room with a wary eye. I slid into the seat across from him, my mind buzzing with strategies. "Thanks for meeting me," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "What's the next step?" Sam took a sip of his coffee, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "First, we need to gather evidence. Emma's good at hiding her tracks, but with enough witnesses and documentation, we can build a solid case." I nodded, feeling a surge of resolve. "Where do we start?" Sam pulled out a notebook, flipping to a fresh page. "I've got a few ideas. We'll need to talk to some of the staff who've had run-ins with her. I know a few people who've had issues with Emma's behavior. If we can get their statements, we'll have a stronger case." As we discussed our plan, Sam mentioned a few names. One of them was Clara, a waitress who had always seemed uncomfortable around Emma. Sam suggested we start with her. "I'll reach out to Clara," Sam said. "She's a bit of a loner, but she'll talk if she feels it's worth her while." A few days later, I met Clara at a small diner down the street from the restaurant. She was a petite woman with a nervous energy about her. I recognized her from the restaurant, where she often worked the morning shifts. "Clara?" I asked as she slid into the booth across from me. "Thanks for meeting me. I know this might be uncomfortable." Clara nodded, her eyes darting around as if she feared being overheard. "I don't like talking about this, but if it helps, I'm willing." I took a deep breath, laying out what I knew about Emma's behavior and asking Clara for her perspective. Her face softened with a mix of relief and apprehension. "It's not just me," Clara said quietly. "Emma's always been manipulative, playing favorites and throwing her weight around. She's gotten away with a lot because people are scared to speak up. But she's made my life miserable." I listened intently as Clara recounted various incidents of Emma's bullying and favoritism. Her account was detailed and corroborated many of Sam's claims. It was clear that Emma's behavior was more widespread than just the incident I had witnessed. "Thank you for sharing this," I said, feeling a mix of gratitude and sadness. "This will help a lot." With Clara's testimony in hand, Sam and I continued our investigation. We interviewed more staff members, piecing together a picture of Emma's manipulative tactics and abuse of power. Each account added weight to our case, revealing a pattern of deceit and exploitation. One evening, as we reviewed our findings in Sam's apartment, he leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smirk on his face. "We've got a solid case now. Emma's not just a bad girlfriend, she's a toxic presence in that restaurant." I looked at the pile of evidence we had amassed: statements, documents, and personal accounts. It was overwhelming but satisfying. "So, what's the next step?" Sam tapped his fingers on the table. "We present everything to Mr. Thompson. He needs to know what kind of person Emma really is. And if we're lucky, he'll take action." We finalized our plan and set a meeting with Mr. Thompson for the following week. I felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The confrontation was imminent, and it was clear that our efforts would soon come to a head. Emma's carefully constructed facade was about to be dismantled, and I was both eager and apprehensive about the fallout. As I prepared for the meeting with Mr. Thompson, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come since that fateful night. What started as a personal betrayal had evolved into a quest for justice. With each step, I was uncovering more than just Emma's deceit. I was finding my own strength and resolve. The day of the meeting with Mr. Thompson arrived, and I was a bundle of nerves and anticipation. Sam and I had meticulously organized all the evidence we had gathered against Emma, and now it was time to present it. We arrived at the restaurant early, hoping to catch Mr. Thompson before the evening rush. The restaurant was quiet, with only a few early diners scattered around. We waited in the small office adjacent to the kitchen, the place where Mr. Thompson typically handled administrative tasks. I glanced at Sam, who was pacing back and forth, a look of intense focus on his face. "This is it," Sam said, trying to mask his nervousness. "We've got everything we need. Just remember to stay calm and stick to the facts." I nodded, trying to steady my breathing. "Got it. Let's just hope Mr. Thompson takes this seriously." A few minutes later, Mr. Thompson walked in, his usual jovial demeanor replaced by a serious expression. He shook hands with us, his gaze scanning the files and documents spread out on the table. "All right, Max, Sam," Mr. Thompson said, settling into a chair. "What's this about? I hope it's not as dramatic as it sounds." I took a deep breath and began to speak. "Mr. Thompson, thank you for meeting with us. What we're about to present concerns Emma and her conduct here at the restaurant. We've gathered evidence that shows a pattern of manipulation, favoritism, and unethical behavior." I handed over the first batch of documents, witness statements from Clara and other staff members detailing Emma's actions. Mr. Thompson's eyebrows furrowed as he read through the pages. "This is quite serious," he said, glancing up from the papers. "I had no idea Emma's behavior was so widespread." "But are you sure about all of this?" Sam spoke up, his tone firm. "We've got multiple accounts, and everything is backed up by evidence. Emma's actions go beyond minor grievances. She's been exploiting her position and causing harm to others." Mr. Thompson sighed, rubbing his temples. "I'll need to review this more thoroughly, but if what you're saying is true, it's a serious breach of trust. I've always valued transparency and fairness here." I felt a pang of relief mixed with anxiety. "We're not asking for anything immediate, just that you take this into consideration and investigate further." Mr. Thompson nodded slowly. "I'll need to talk to Emma and go through these documents carefully. I'll also speak to other staff members to get their input." The meeting ended with Mr. Thompson promising to take our concerns seriously. Sam and I left the restaurant with a mix of hope and uncertainty, knowing that the next few days would be crucial. A week later, we were summoned back to the restaurant. Mr. Thompson looked grave as he called us into his office. "I've completed my investigation," Mr. Thompson said, his voice steady. "The evidence you provided was compelling, and it confirmed many of the concerns I had about Emma's conduct. We've decided to terminate her employment." I felt a sense of vindication but also a pang of sadness. "What about the other issues, her manipulative behavior, the favoritism?" Mr. Thompson nodded. "We'll be addressing those internally. I appreciate your diligence in bringing this to light. It's important that we maintain a fair and respectful work environment." As I left Mr. Thompson's office, Sam caught up with me, a satisfied grin on his face. "Looks like we did it, Max. Emma's out, and we've made a real impact." I managed a tired smile. "Yeah, but it's not just about getting revenge. It's about making things right." Sam clapped me on the back. "You did good. And hey, there's a silver lining for you. Mr. Thompson mentioned that he's impressed with your commitment. There might be an opportunity for you to move up in the company." The thought was unexpected but welcomed. It was a chance to start fresh and move past the pain of the betrayal. As I walked out of the restaurant, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. The truth had been exposed, and justice had been served. Emma's departure was a step towards a more transparent and respectful workplace, and it was also a chance for me to reflect on what I wanted for my future. The restaurant, once a place of personal turmoil, was now a symbol of new beginnings. The days following Emma's dismissal felt surreal. The restaurant was abuzz with speculation and gossip about her departure, but I was more focused on the quiet transformation happening within me. The weight of the past few weeks had lifted, replaced by a sense of cautious optimism. I spent my days settling into my new role, one that Mr. Thompson had offered as a recognition of my efforts. It was a promotion I hadn't anticipated, but it came with new responsibilities and challenges. I found solace in the work, using it as a means to rebuild not just my career but my sense of self. One afternoon, as I was going through some reports in my new office, I heard a knock on the door. It was Clara, the waitress who had helped us expose Emma's deceit. She looked nervous but determined. "Hey, Max," Clara said, stepping inside. I wanted to check in and see how you're doing. I looked up, surprised and touched by her gesture. Clara, it's good to see you. I'm doing well, thanks. Things have been busy with the new role, but it's a positive change. Clara sat down across from me, her expression thoughtful. I just wanted to say thank you again. Your efforts made a difference, not just for me but for everyone at the restaurant. Emma was toxic, and it's a relief to finally have some peace. I nodded, appreciating her words. It wasn't just me. It was a team effort, Sam, you, and everyone who spoke up. It was about setting things right. Clara smiled, her tension easing. I know. And it's nice to see that things are moving in a better direction. I hope you're finding the new role fulfilling. It's definitely a new chapter, I admitted. I'm still adjusting, but it feels good to be making a positive impact. It's a chance to focus on what really matters. As Clara left, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. My role at the restaurant was more than just a job, it was a chance to create a work environment built on integrity and respect. Later that week, I met up with Sam for a drink at a local pub. We found a quiet corner and settled in with our beers. Sam seemed relaxed, his usual intensity replaced with a more laid-back demeanor. So, how's it going with the promotion? Sam asked, taking a sip of his beer. It's a lot to handle, I said, chuckling softly. But it's a good challenge. I'm learning a lot and starting to feel more settled. It's strange how things have changed so quickly. Sam nodded, his eyes thoughtful. Yeah, life has a way of throwing curveballs. But you've handled everything well. It's not just about getting back at Emma, it's about moving forward and making a difference. I raised my glass in a toast. To new beginnings and finding a way to turn a bad situation into something positive. Sam clinked his glass against mine. Cheers to that. And to finding redemption and clarity through the chaos. As we talked and laughed, I felt a sense of camaraderie and closure. The confrontation with Emma had been painful, but it had also led to personal growth and a clearer understanding of what I wanted from life. The restaurant was no longer a place of betrayal but a space where I could build something meaningful. I reflected on how Emma's actions had catalyzed a process of change, both professionally and personally. The lessons learned from the ordeal were shaping my approach to work and relationships. In the end, Emma's departure had been a catalyst for something greater, a chance to start anew and create a positive impact. I had found my own path through the storm, and as I looked ahead, I felt a sense of redemption and hope. The journey had been difficult, but it had ultimately led me to a place of clarity and purpose, proving that even in the face of betrayal, there is a chance for renewal and growth.